Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ball game. It's a game. It's a game. 'Cause it's all in the game. It's a game. It's a game. It's a game. Good evening, boys and girls, scholars and laymen, and welcome to another wonderful infotaining, edutaining. Are you infotain? Are you infotain edition of the Art of His Thinks dot provocateur. Today is Black August 22nd, 2019. Y'all know 30 years ago on this day, we lost Huey P. Newton under very questionable circumstances in Oakland, California. He was the co-founder of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Now, there was a Black Panther Party down in Lowndes County, Alabama. Look that up as well. That was led by the likes of Kwame Ture. Some of you may be familiar with the name Stokely Carmichael, but his freedom fighting name was Kwame Ture. Lowndes County, Alabama. Excuse me. And now they got a hookworm problem down there. So, 50-something years later, they got a hookworm problem in a place that's supposed to be part of a first world country. America supposed to be above third world conditions, but trust me, if you go to certain places down south in the Appalachians or the Appalachian or what you want to call it, mountains, go to places down in Mississippi, Alabama, you'll see a lot of poverty, a lot of systemic poverty, poverty of the mind and the spirit and the body. Illuminati. Okay. So, yes, boys and girls, scholars, laymen, this is Brother Ron. Look at that history. Find out who Huey P. Newton was. Huey allegedly killed a cop, was facing the death penalty in California, and he beat the rap. But did he really beat the rap? The Black Panthers, I keep on thinking about how people talk about Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, or they or it, whatever he called himself. I mean, I'm confused with the lingo today. It's the Skittles generation. We're living in the age of the Skittles generation. But, people talk about how they gave them big props on social media and beyond for actually utilizing the I Love You food truck to feed the homeless on Skid Row down in L.A., right? And people commend him for that, for not only that, but also for trying to provide the residents of Flint, Michigan with clean water. Now, we're still dealing with the Flint thing. I know mainstream media is too busy talking about Trump and how y'all should hate Trump and all this other stuff. But the Flint thing happened on Obama's watch, and we're still dealing with this. We're now going into the second coronation of Trump as president. Make no mistake, boys and girls, scholars, laymen, Trump is about to get a second term. And so we're dealing with the Flint thing. I can't believe it's been about 5-6 years now. We're dealing with Flint. That is insane. But, there's poisoning of the water all around the country, though. Lead poisoning, maybe too much fluoride, I don't know. But it is what it is. But this is a death machine. Dr. King diagnosed it over 50 years ago. He said the greatest purveyor of violence on the planet is my own government. You look at dictators and so-called tyrants and people like that who are satellites of the death machine. They have an extensive Hollywood movie collection of gangster movies, mob movies, shoot 'em up, bang, bang movies, So America is a very violent culture. I don't know if banning guns will actually solve the violent nature of America. American History is a gangster rap album, okay? American History is a gangster rap album. So, with that said, this is Black August. This is the real Black History Month for me. The time when revolutionaries and innovators are born, the time when they die, the time when they are reborn into something greater. We just acknowledged the 2-year anniversary of the righteous ancestor transitioning of Baba Dick Gregory, which happened August 19th, 2017. I just, did acknowledgement on social media to Baba. I don't believe he's dead because I see him everywhere. I hear him everywhere. His energy is very much active. He's very powerful as a righteous ancestor. So, you can't kill energy. So Baba's everywhere. And you see a lot of things have come to pass with his passing. A lot of things are becoming clearer and clearer, especially with those with these magic glasses. Some of us wearing our magic glasses. Magic glasses, right? We can see things. Some of us got a stronger prescription. Some of us got, contacts on. We got magic contacts on, okay? And, all types of things, but things are coming to pass. But people talk about, well, man, Baba, we need to get his input on insight. Baba was all about doing research. He wants you to do your research. And this was very troubling in this day and age that we are following the cult of the talking head. That a lot of people don't do research. They depend on some talking head, whether it be mainstream or lamestream, fake news or other news, alternative news, black media, new black media. You depend on somebody else to tell you something that really you could just research yourself. You depend on somebody to tell you how to feel and think and act. They might talk hour, 2 hour plus when y'all could have just basically just researched it, read some books, do your research online, compare and contrast sources because a lot of us do have good intentions. I don't believe everybody's a disinfo agent. You could be misinformed. You can misspeak or misspoke about something. People are always on critical of Brother Ron. Oh, Ron, you got the date wrong. That's good because that means you're doing critical thinking. You got a level of intellectual curiosity. You're doing the research, and I don't mind being corrected when I'm wrong. A lot of times, it's not that necessarily I might have good intentions. I might misspoke because I speak a lot. When you speak a lot, you have a tendency to sometimes contradict yourself. When you speak a lot, you could put your foot in your mouth a lot of times. You have that foot in the mouth disease. But at the same time, I'm not so driven by ego to not be checked and balanced or corrected. I don't have no problem with that. And I really encourage people to do their own research because like I told y'all in one podcast before that I might get you to the right neighborhood, but I might not get you to the right house. You said this about Baba Dick Gregory. He may not get you to the exact house, but he'll put you in the right neighborhood, in the right zip code, right? That's what I do because really information is really it changes when you find out more information. Like how Baba Dick Gregory talk about how the original story when they have a so-called crisis or mass shooting or something like that, the original story always changing. History is a draft in progress. It's always being rewritten. But what I want us to do is start reclaiming our narrative, reclaiming our space in that draft space, to reclaim it, to own it, to amplify it by any means necessary in terms of information dissemination, to amplify and to counter the so-called narrative. Because we're living in an upside down world where things that are supposed to be right are considered wrong, and what's wrong is celebrated. This type of world we're living in. So, yeah, do that research. I commend you all. And thank you all who have been inspired by my example to follow that path of being a so-called truth seeker. So seek, get knowledge. And also, I want to thank people who have been donating, who have brought t-shirts and art and stuff like that, because it's really strange to me that YouTube really are trying to attack me in terms of demonetizing videos and things like that. I just find it strange that the stuff I talk about, the mainstream media talk about, other outlets talk about, but they still have ads and stuff running on their videos. Whereas I talk about things Not always in a controversial manner. I might talk about some obscure stuff. Nothing I would consider controversial, but it's been historically fact checked and all that stuff. And I still get on the radar. And also I look at the views because it's amazing that I can look at random podcasts, right? And people bring my name up and bring up We All Be. That's like, man, the work is getting out there. Now I look at the views and the subscribers, but I look at I random podcasts, people mentioning Brother Ron and We All Be, and that it helped them understand a subject matter. Or they thank me for the guests I would have on, and people always say, "Well, Brother Ron, can you bring on so and so?" I said, "Well, why don't so and so invite me on their platform?" They always tell me I should bring them on, or people will make suggestions of bringing people on, but they could. It's the law of reciprocity needs to be practiced because I could bring you on, but you should bring me on too, bro or sister. It should go both ways. But I'm just thankful that we got people out there who are committed to try to enlighten our people to give them some options. In terms of food for thought. People are talking about plant based lifestyle, veganism, vegetarianism, all this stuff. You need those type of options for food for thought because there's a lot of poison out there. There's a lot of toxic stuff out there that's floating around that's poisoning people's minds and imagination. So this is why I'm thankful that I have answered the call to do some of this work. I'm always trying to offer a different point of view. So if you want to support the We All Be movement, because we know that knowledge is the currency of the universe, but I'm in the physical form, being the messenger. And I'll tell you, I got this mailman theory, right? The mailman or mail woman or mail person delivers your mail, right? They come to your neighborhood, they bring mail to you. They put it in your box, right? In your mailbox. Some of that mail is junk mail, right? Some of that mail, bills, junk mail, whatever. It's up to you to discern what is useful for you to consume or to really take serious, right? Now, with that said, once the mail person delivers your mail, do you follow the mail person around the neighborhood on their route? Why would you? Whatever they do as it pertains to other business on their route is no concern of you. So that's how you got to treat information when it comes to the messengers, when it comes to the people sharing the information. Discern what is for you and forget about what is not for you. If you're really about nation building and empowering yourself and other people, then leave the gossip alone. Leave it where you left it. Don't even pick it up. Don't even focus on that. Don't waste your time. Because the great people among us, it has been proven throughout history, are not concerned about what other people think. They're more concerned about ideas, about problem solving, about finding alternative ways to get to their solution. Those are the truly great among us. That's been proven throughout history. Those are the people that are remembered a lot of times. But sometimes you have people who do give a lot, who sacrifice their lives at times. We forget about these people. Because in actuality, it's like when I saw the Occupy Wall Street movement some years ago. I mean, you go on and travel the country, went to St. Louis and saw how they was, occupying like public spaces and stuff like that downtown. And you look at through the social media what they was doing in New York. This really was not about trying to destroy Wall Street. People really just want to be a part of the country club. They want to occupy. They want to share the same space as the banksters and the fraudsters who was the fleecing or robbing the American public blind. They didn't want to change the system. They want to be a part of the system. They want to occupy the space of the system. So to me, that's not really revolutionary. That was all about we want what they got. It's like when people allow for wealthy corporations not to pay taxes or to get away with certain things because people really think in their minds that one day they might be a millionaire or billionaire. And majority of people would never be millionaires and billionaires. Majority of the people in this system are poor or impoverished people, working poor people. Really, there's no real middle class. Majority of the planet is impoverished, but there's plenty of resources, natural and otherwise, available for the people. But it's the scarcity or the illusion of scarcity that drives this system. This is insanity. And but you can support the We All Be movement. Google Pay, PayPal. The email is r2c2h2 at gmail.com. That's r2c2h2 at gmail.com. Also, you can cash app your support. Cash app $ R2C2H2. Cash app $R2C2H2. And you can buy Art of His Art, R2C2H2.com. And also you can support, look at the, shelf, the Teespring R2C2H2's place website. We got shirts available, hoodies, sweatshirts, reasonable prices with original art by R2C2H2. Yours truly, Brother Ron, featured on the gear. But yeah, I think it's strange with the algorithms, how YouTube is treating me. Or even like people say, well, I don't see your stuff on Facebook, Brother Ron. I don't get your alerts when you drop a video. Well, it's all by design. Why should it make it easy for you to get this knowledge? I'm on here I want to talk about the Jay-Z Kaepernick thing. And I waited several days to talk about it because I want to see what was the fallout was going to be. I want to know because the narrative always changes, right? The narrative always changes. So it's important sometimes to be patient because everybody with social media, everybody has a platform now. I don't care how big or small your platform is. Everybody has a platform. Y'all remember the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson? That's a great movie. I got to look at that movie because some of the stuff that the movie talk about, we're going through it right now. But Mel Gibson, he was portrayed as a conspiracy theorist or nut. He had the aluminum foil, tinfoil hat type of stuff going on in his apartment. And he had a mailing list. He had a newsletter that he would mail out. But it was a small subscriber list. But I guess he didn't know he was mailing this out to people in the intelligence community. Even though he had a small subscribers list, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. So he was reaching the intelligence community and they were watching him. They were spying on him. So he was paranoid, but he had a great reason to be paranoid because they actually were, somebody's watching me. Like Maxwell, right? The other Maxwell, whatever. But yeah, so that's how I feel a lot of times in terms of like, I don't have the large subscriber list. No, I have I'm not complaining not by any means. I would like to get 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So you actually have benefited from the content. If your people, if anybody have benefited from this, tell them, hey, help Brother Ron reach 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But I'm saying like it's about quality. I might not have the big numbers in terms of views or subscribers or anything like that, but for whatever reason, like I said, I be listening to random podcasts, random this, random that, and people will bring up Brother Ron and We All Be. And really, that's a testament to the people who have open minds and hearts to receive what I'm doing, and to not only receive what I'm doing, but to add on to it and to add their own perspectives and stuff like that. I really enjoy reading people's comments, listen to voicemails, emails. I don't return everything all the time. I got a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on right now, but I'm honored to be able to serve the people that y'all have trust me in terms of allowing me into your intimate spaces in terms of your mind and your imagination, and you just taking the time to listen to this podcast. I want to thank you all for doing that. And I want to thank the people who have, with their timely donations, make sure I won't be homeless. Because, those donations came right on time, y'all. I want to thank y'all. I have not personally thanked everybody, but I want to thank everybody who have donated over the last several weeks, who have brought shirts and stuff like that and art, because y'all don't know. Y'all really came through, and I appreciate that. And the best is yet to come. But I would like to do more things with the podcast in terms of getting the message and stuff out there. And also, because I got a lot of other stuff going on. I got so many different jobs. And that's another thing, the so-called gig economy, where they want to keep you so preoccupied with trying to chase a dollar to try to live a certain lifestyle. They can get away with everything, even murder. They get away with highway robbery, murder, everything. I'm talking about the powers that be, the so-called elites, the so-called elites. can get away with everything as long as you are distracted, and also they dangle the entertainment thing in front of us, the entertainment carrot, the entertainment industry complex. And let me say this. Brother Malcolm was right about celebrities, how black celebrities are weaponized by the powers that be to distract, to amuse, to keep us unfocused. Now, I know I'm referring to that, I guess, famous or infamous, whatever your take, UC Berkeley interview he did back, I believe, in 1963. It should still be available on YouTube or whatever social media outlets, whatever video outlets there are. But he bring up how black people are the only group of people who are told that their leaders must be celebrities, people that play horns, trumpets, Lena Horne. He mentioned Dick Gregory by name as well as Lena Horne by name. And people will take that and all they do is, oh, he mentioned Dick Gregory. He said Dick Gregory's not a real leader. Nah, I think he was just throwing out names because Dick and Malcolm were very close before he died. And I don't know if they met before or after that interview, but I've known associates of Malcolm that told me that Malcolm would call out somebody by name, like a Lorraine Hansberry, because she was married to a Jewish guy, a white guy, and then he would be confronted by these people at parties hosted by Sidney Poitier, and they'll tell him, "Hey, Malcolm, you got me all wrong. This is the deal with me." And Malcolm had no problem when he was wrong, and when somebody corrected him on something, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize," and thank you for correcting me. That's the type of person Malcolm was, because Malcolm was a real truth seeker. Malcolm, you look at a lot of stuff he'll say out in public, and then he'll retract it, or he'll, talk to somebody in private and apologize for being misconstruing who they were because he didn't know them. So, like with that, people focus on what he said, Dick Gregory, but he was talking about entertainers or celebrities. Period. Look at what's going on 50-something years later with our so-called celebrities. Y'all follow these people like they're a religion. This religion known as celebrity worship, and we think, okay, well, so and so do this. They woke and all this other stuff, but they using us, and they too afraid to sell them to the people that actually sign their paychecks because they're just puppets. They're just there as distractions. They're not there to empower nobody. I don't care how well you dribble a basketball or you throw a football. You are not a real leader of our people. You should not be taken as a real leader of our people. And with Dick Gregory, you got to understand that Dick Gregory was at one point the highest paid entertainer in the country of color, black entertainer. He was up there making money like Sinatra. But yeah, he had to walk away from that. Yes, he still was a comic, but he became more of an activist in the 60s and whatnot. He got onto the front lines. He was ground zero. You got to remember, Dick Gregory gave up a lot because Bill Cosby talks about this on several occasions, that he took Dick Gregory's career. Dick Gregory was the first person of color, the first black comedian to sit on the couch for the Tonight Show. Before even Johnny Carson was there. That was when it was hosted by Jack Parr, the Tonight Show. He demanded that if I'm going to perform for you all, I must be allowed to sit on the couch and talk and be interviewed. This guy was discovered by Hugh Hefner. He was, headlining the Playboy Club up in Chicago. And that opened the door for a lot of black entertainers to get in to not only to the Playboy Club, but to the entertainment industry complex to be taken seriously. Dick Gregory was like, he wasn't being a buffoon. He was just a black man dressed in a suit, telling jokes, doing political satire, suit and tie. He set the template for the Bill Cosbys and the Richard Pryors to come. So he was a game changer and innovator, but he, at the height of his popularity, gave up all of that to support the movement. Like, he became fast friends with Medgar Evers. When he went down to Mississippi, he supported Medgar Evers. He was going to be assassinated with Medgar Evers the night they got Medgar. He's supposed to have been with Medgar that night, but had to go back to Chicago because his namesake, his son, died all of a sudden. And it was Medgar who broke the news to him because he talked to Lil, Dick's devoted, beautiful wife, on the phone. And he passed the news on to Dick. And according to Dick, they shared the cry as Medgar drove him to the airport, I believe in Memphis. I don't know if it was Memphis or Jackson, but he drove him to the airport, and they shared a cry because they knew that this was going to be the last time that they would see each other alive. In terms of Mega was assassinated, right? And they played "Turn Me Loose" about Dick's life. They premiered about almost 3 years ago. It's crazy to believe. They said that Medgar Evers' last words were "Turn me loose," allegedly, when he died in the hospital. He didn't die immediately in the driveway. He died at the hospital. He had that will to live, but the injuries were so great it blew his chest out. So with that said, Dick did a complete turnaround. He gave up his entertainer's lifestyle to devote himself to being a foot soldier in the movement. You gotta understand. People talk about Freedom Summer of 1964, Freedom Summer 1964, where you had the three civil rights workers, Michael Swarner, James Chaney, and Andrew Goodman. They were killed by the Klan, or they were kidnapped by law enforcement and the Klan. You got to understand, law enforcement and the Klan was one of the same. If you was a sheriff of a county down south, you was God. And a lot of times you connected to the Klan. So you had the police and stuff involved with the Klan kidnap these guys, held them they would not allow them to make a phone call when they were kidnapped because the three civil rights workers was investigating a church burning. And they were supposed to call in with their organization, I believe CORE, to let them know what was going on, and they never made the phone call because they were not allowed to make a phone call from jail, from my understanding. So they were killed, slaughtered. Really, I mean, the black guy James Chaney, they said the injuries he sustained was like him being in some high velocity car accident. They just beat him up so bad, and they buried him in an earthen dam outside of Philadelphia, Mississippi. Right. So, and interesting, their bodies were discovered on August 4th, 1964. August 4th is the birth date of Barack Hussein Obama, who was born in 61. So I say all to say Dick was involved in that case. He helped break that case in terms of finding out what happened to the three civil rights workers. He put up the award money. The reward money, and I think the FBI put up some reward money. But there's another narrative that said that the FBI brought in this mob enforcer from New York. I think his guy named Scapata. I think his name was Gregory Scapata. He allegedly tortured some Klansmen down in Mississippi to get the information about where the three civil rights workers were buried. That's the popular story. I believe they popularized that version in the movie Mississippi Burning, that they was torturing some Klansmen or whatever to get the information. This guy, I think his name was Gregory Scapati. I think he was part of the Genovese family up in New York. He ended up dying from AIDS back in late 20th century. So I'll let y'all research that. But actually, I believe Dick Gregory was the one who broke the case because he was threatening the authorities that if they didn't tell where the bodies were or they didn't go and get them bodies, he was going to break the news himself. So, but beyond that, Dick Gregory was the inspiration for Freedom Summer 64. You have some of the key organizers like the great Bob Moses, who founded the Algebra Project. He was a teacher from a Harvard-educated teacher from Harlem who went down into Mississippi to do some organizing among the local Mississippians to gain their trust. But he said it himself in the Freedom Summer documentary that came out several years ago on PBS back in 2014 that Dick Gregory was the key inspiration for the Freedom Summer 64 project, because what happened after Medgar got killed, Greenwood, Mississippi, the black folks who dare to stand up for their civil rights and dare to register to vote down in Greenwood, Mississippi, they were punished by the federal government under Kennedy. See, people got this reimagination of what Camelot was for black folks. Camelot was still hell in America for black folks, okay? Y'all got this illusion that Kennedy really was for black people, that he was all out pro-black and trying to do a lot of things for black folks. Kennedy was not allowed to finish out his first term. But what we do know, that his administration, the Kennedy administration, cut off access to the black folks down in Greenwood, Mississippi, from food stamps and federal relief. So they cut the black folks' benefits, like the food stamps and whatnot that they would normally get, to punish them for daring to register to vote, to dare to stand up for their rights. So what Dick did, he worked with Hugh Hefner, the founder of Playboy, and he chartered a plane full of food and supplies for, I believe he made several deliveries himself. This is one dude, you know, working out this thing with one of his wealthy friends and benefactors, Hugh Hefner, to fill up a plane full of supplies and foods and deliver to the black folks down the Mississippi Delta in Greenwood with no cost to them. He did that on his own. This is one person doing that. So the movement organizers saw what Dick did and they were inspired to do Freedom Summer. Now, this is not Brother Ron just saying this. This is the actual organizers. These are from primary sources. So y'all can research that. Check out that Freedom Summer documentary that featured Bob Moses and other movement people. And Mickey Swerner's widow, Rita Swerner. So I'm telling you, I mean, here, I'm giving y'all the jewels and gems. Go out there, take a look. It's all online. So I'm telling y'all this. Dick, you know, he was one of those celebrities, you know, talking heads, sound bites, but he got active in the movement. Well, one thing I love about Dick, he knew his place in the movement. He knew that he was not the general. He was there for support of the general. He was there to help raise money and awareness, using his celebrity status to raise money and awareness for the people like the Dr. Kings, just like with Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte was not the leader of the movement. He was there as support. He was there to raise money and awareness. Because when, like for example, when Dr. King was sentenced to a Georgia, we call that chain gang, you know, down in Georgia. When JFK was running for president, he was sentenced to a Georgia chain gang. Their plan was to kill him while he was at that, you know, in that prison. And I believe the Kennedys reached out to Harry Belafonte to be one of their delegates, or, you know, to help them bridge the gap with the black community. They reached out to Harry Belafonte, say, well, Harry, we want you to, you know, be one of our spokespeople for our campaign in terms of for the race relations to help get the black vote. And basically, Harry Belafonte told him, look, you know, if you really want the black vote, I'm the wrong person. The person you need to help is a guy named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who's down there at that boot camp, that prison work camp, on that chain gang. You need to get him out there immediately because they're trying to kill him. So that's what the Kennedys did. And I believe Dr. King, like a lot of black Americans, were Republicans at that time. They were Republicans because, you know, you got to think about Republican, the party of Lincoln. Lincoln was the first Republican president. And in the party of Lincoln, think about, you know, Civil War, black folks getting their emancipation. Think about 40 Acres and the Mules, the radical Republicans. Black folks were Republicans for a long, long time, just off of that alone. You got to think about the Democratic Party have not really been too kind to black people. If you think about it, the first Democrat president was Andrew Jackson, notorious slave trader and Indian killer. So that guy on a $20 bill. You think about the fact that the Ku Klux Klan was created by the Democratic Party. Nathan Bedford Forrest, the first Grand Wizard, slave trader and alleged war criminal, Confederate general, was a Democrat. He was a delegate for the 1868 Democratic Convention. Albert Pike, third degree Scottish Rite Freemason, Democrat Confederate general of Cherokee Indians for the Civil War, was the founder of the Klan from Boston. He was a Democrat. Both of these guys lived in Memphis back in the 1860s. They ran the Democratic Party in Shelby County. That's where Memphis is headquartered at. So you gotta understand, it's the Democrats, Dixiecrats, whatever y'all want to call it. See, we don't teach that history. You forget about Charles Sumner. You know, Dick Gregory went to high school in St. Louis, named after Charles Sumner, who was an abolitionist and a U.S. senator from Massachusetts, who almost was beaten to death on a congressional floor by South Carolina Representative Preston Brooks. He used his thick cane to he whooped that trick. He beat the mess. He beat him so bad that Charles Sumner was in convalescence for about a couple years. He took a beating. He took a thrashing from Preston Brooks. from the South Carolina. Look all this up. But the first black high school west of the Mississippi River was Sumner High School, named after Charles Sumner, a radical Republican. And people like Dick Gregory, Arthur Ashe, Chuck Berry went to this high school, Sumner High School in St. Louis. So y'all getting all this information right. I'm gonna be talking about Jay-Z and Colin Kaepernick. But I'm just trying to show y'all something here. But yeah, Dick went through a transformation when he went through that movement. So like, yeah, but your run-of-the-mill celebrities, like Malcolm was surprised that Dick was not afraid to take pictures with him, to be seen in photos with Malcolm. So Malcolm, okay, I gotta rethink Dick Gregory. And that's what he did. So don't act like Malcolm had this thing against Dick Gregory based on this one interview. Malcolm contradicted himself, not because he was a hypocrite, but because he was growing. You can't compare Malcolm from 55 to Malcolm in 64 or 65. He's a changed man. He's growing into his purpose, but he was not allowed to reach his full potential. You got to understand, Dick Gregory, his closest friends like Medgar Evers, who was 37 when he was killed, Malcolm X and Dr. King were both 39 when they were killed. Dick was allowed to be an old man. Y'all talking about all this agent stuff. But y'all understand that we all a part, we all pawns in this system. We all advocate for stuff we don't understand because we all programmed. We are programmed on different levels, on different vibrations, and different frequencies. So y'all talking about all this agent stuff, y'all confused. You look at Jay-Z, y'all mad at Jay-Z, y'all support Kaepernick, y'all mad at Jay-Z, or y'all mad at Kaepernick, support Jay-Z. You know, Eric Reed said it's a shame, but yet they all, you know, I guess you could call Eric Reed and Kaepernick $40 million slaves. Jay-Z's $1 billion slave. We all slaves. We all gladiators in this system. We're here for white folks' entertainment and money and prosperity building. Our black pain, if you're a black person, a person of color, our black pain is their joy and gain. Our black pain is their joy and pain. Read Dr. Clark Anderson's Black Labor, White Wealth. We built this country without compensation. I think our problem is we confuse integration and assimilation. See, I have no problem with no integration, but it's the assimilation part because you forget who you are, you forget your own humanity in order to be accepted. And that's a problem. Integration don't mean you dilute everything that's good about you, that's recognizable about you. Assimilation means just that things get disappeared. Your roots are uprooted. Like Marcus Garvey said, to paraphrase the great Marcus Garvey, who was born August 17th, 1887, Black August, baby. You said a people without history is like a tree without roots. And we are rootless as a people. Not ruthless, but rootless. But being rootless will make you ruthless because you're ignorant of who you really are. You're ignorant of your purpose and your understanding. But think about this. Think about this, right? You have a black man named Nearest Green who taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. That's a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. The descendants of Jack Daniels ain't wanted for nothing, but yet you still got the descendants of Nearest Green working for a living, a minimum wage at the plant. How come the descendants of Nearest Green are not as wealthy, if not even more, or even more wealthier? I know it's bad English. Wealthier than Jack Daniels' descendants, right? The black man invented Jack Daniels whiskey. Why is he not? And all we get is a pat on the, like a pat on the head. Oh, job well done. Y'all so loyal, and we thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have nothing. We'll be most loyal soldiers. You had people, black men, black soldiers, the Buffalo Soldiers. They saved Teddy Roosevelt's life on the charge up San Juan Hill. Teddy Roosevelt get all the glory. Rough Riders, all this crap. But it was the Buffalo Soldiers that saved his raw hide, saved him from getting killed. Because he got killed, he would never became president, right? So it was the black soldiers that saved him, but then he portrayed the actual black soldiers that saved him in the Brownsville incident of 1906. Look at the Brownsville incident, 1906, Buffalo Soldier. Teddy Roosevelt sold out those black soldiers. Buffalo Soldiers. He defamed them. They lost their rank, dishonorable discharge. I believe only one or two were still alive when they were pardoned by the government decades later. But it was an actual guy who was over those soldiers who saved his life. He betrayed him. All for politics. And Teddy Roosevelt, he's from New York, but he had an uncle or two who was Confederate, spies and stuff. They denounced America. They ended up going to England. I believe it was either one uncle or two uncles. But once again, that's research for you all to find out. Even though he was from New York, his family sympathized with the Confederates. So, yeah, it's crazy. I can look out fact check all this stuff. Stuff I said about freedom, something Dick Gregory, all this stuff, nearest grain, all of this. Behind every great white man is a black man that he stole or learned from. Okay? That's how I look at it. Behind every great white man in history, there's some black man that he learned or stole from. That's his shadow. All right? So, Jay-Z. And that's another thing. I'm a fan of Jay-Z's artistry. I think you could separate the man from the artist and his music output. People he talk about violence, but y'all love Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. All these gangster movies, all this filth they put out there. Y'all still respect them, but y'all can't respect Jay-Z. He's an entertainer, a storyteller, one of the best storytellers in any genre. He's up there with some of the best. Matter of fact, for me, my top three when it comes to rap and MCing is Tupac. He's number one, but two or three could be interchangeable. I like Jay-Z and Ice Cube. Ice Cube is brilliant. People, he don't get enough respect. He can really be the GOAT, to be honest with you, because his albums, his movies, he knows he's a great storyteller. But Pop, Jay-Z, Ice Cube, and I'm not gonna worry about. I got a top 10, but I'm just gonna leave y'all with that understanding who I feel like my top three are. And Jay, he's been consistent. He's versatile. I'm not really feeling his business strategy because he said he's a businessman, but he's more like a mascot, man. You're more like a mascot, Jay-Z, because I question your business acumen. And no disrespect to Jehovah, but I'm looking at the Brooklyn Nets thing, right? It could be argued that New Jersey Nets moving to Brooklyn could not happen without Jay-Z co-signing. That would not happen without Jay-Z co-signing. You had the Russian billionaire dude. No, he brought Jay-Z on, but Jay-Z didn't even have a full 1% ownership in the team, but he's the face of the going to be Brooklyn Nets, right? He's his face all over the place because he's a recognizable brand. Because the Russian billionaire, he's not recognizable. People got this Red Scare stuff going on. It was Red Scare 1919. Now we got the Red Scare of 2019, and we all about blaming Russia for everything. Well, that's another podcast. But Jay-Z, he was able to politic. Think about it. They used Jay-Z almost as a Trojan horse for gentrification of Brooklyn. Like, they were able to get the Barclays Center built by uprooting black families and businesses that have been there for decades. They uprooted. Brooklyn has a unique black history, by the way. Y'all should research Brooklyn's black history. Very important black history, because they really came to Ida B. Wells' aid when she was kicked out the South. When she was ran out of Memphis, one of the first places that Ida B. Wells went to was Brooklyn, and they came and they had open arms for Ida B. Wells. But that's another podcast. Really, just do the research. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but they used Jay-Z to uproot Brooklyn, to gentrify Brooklyn, to build a Barclays Center. He had a stake in that, I believe, too. And I believe he ended up, getting brought out for $1.5 million. Y'all can fact check all this stuff. But his stake in the Jersey Nets, he ended up selling it, I believe, to Jason Kidd. That's from one article I read. I think he had brought it for like $300,000, and then he sold it for like $500,000 to Jason Kidd, I believe. Think about what I'm saying. Though a billionaire is the majority owner of the team, right? That was a multi-billion-dollar project. You think about Barclays Center, how much money they make in revenue in terms of concerts and other engagements at the Barclays. and they just brought Jay-Z out. Basically, Jay-Z got maybe $2 million out of the whole thing. But he was the face of a multi-billion-dollar project. Is that good business? Or they talk about Rock Nation, where he had a 10-year, $200 million deal. I know you're like, oh, Brother Ron, you said $200. I meant $200 million deal, right? That's what I understand. Yeah, I gotta look at all this. It's not even, man. I won't put too much weight behind this stuff. But if you got one of the hottest women in the game, and y'all limit yourself to making just $20 million on a concert tour on an annual basis for 10 years, what is this really about? And is Jay-Z the majority owner of the 40/40 chain? No, he make it. I mean, I think Jay-Z remind me of, he's like the Michael Jordan of the rap game, of hip hop. Michael Jordan, yes, he's a billionaire, but I believe he could have billions more if he knew his worth. Michael Jordan should own Nike. He saved Nike. Michael Jordan should own Nike. He should be the majority owner of Nike. He saved them from oblivion. Kind of like how Eddie Murphy saved Saturday Night Live. He saved Saturday Night Live. And I don't really care for it now. It's not really that funny, but it's seen better days. It really should be on life support. That's my opinion. But Eddie Murphy saved Saturday Night Live when he came on there as a teenager. He changed the game. To me, Eddie should own part of Saturday Night Live. I mean, he should. To me, Eddie should be a billionaire. As much money his movies have made, now they're coming out with Coming to America too. I don't, man. I hope they don't mess up, because I hate when they try to redo classics or add on. I mean, America Comes to America should have been a one and done. It's perfect. It's like they should never touch a Godfather. They should never remake the Godfather trilogy. It was made right. It's kind of like, go back to what Miles Davis said about Wynton Marsalis and all these cats with those young lions in the 80s. They want to do what they did, what the bebop guys did, Miles and them did back in the 40s and 50s. And basically, Miles was saying, look, art is about growing, it's about evolution, it's about evolving, it's about moving forward. It's not about looking backwards. He said, museums is a place where they keep dead things, right? He said, we did it right the first time. How you gonna redo what we did right the first time? I mean, we had Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk. We had like the greats, Bud Powell, Fats Navarro, Freddie Webster, Max Roach, Art Blakey. You had you can't recreate that moment at Minton's, where they were collaborating on what would become known as bebop, then as hip hop. You move forward. So, but a lot of cats get stuck on this one, like being a one trick pony or one note person. And yeah, so we got to really look at that. Like Jay-Z, Michael Jordan should be owning Nike, not Phil Knight. He should own Nike because he saved Nike. And he changed the game as far as the shoe industry, tennis shoe or athletic shoe industry is concerned. Well, Jay-Z, I think he just happened to be used as a mascot or as a front person. Like in Casino, the movie Casino, when they had the clean cut guy. Kevin Spacey played the guy when he was fronting the casino for the mob because he had this clean cut look. But he's just a front person. He's not running anything. He's not making no decisions. None like that. He's just the front person for appearances. And that's what Jay-Z is. He's just the front person. He's not really running anything. Because even with people brought up good points, I listened to Dame Dash. He said, like, what is the deal? Like, really, in that press conference about nothing, because they didn't really talk about no specifics. It was like very vague. It was very political. Keep it as vague as possible, so there'll be no commit. I mean, like the way it was kind of really uncomfortable looking at the whole interview, especially the body language with Roger Goodell grabbing Jay-Z on the leg or tapping him on the thigh, like, yeah, right, get him up. I'm not saying that. I don't know them personally, so I don't know their relationship, but for me, I just hate that it's like patting you on the head type of stuff. I hate the pat on the head, all this stuff that they like to do. But there was never no money number involved in the so-called agreement. They didn't show us what exactly the NFL would be getting out of this and what Jay-Z would be getting out of this monetarily or whatever his compensation would be. I mean, the Super Bowl been around for 50-something years. I don't think they would have a problem in organizing their own entertainment. They've been doing halftime shows since the first Super Bowl. I believe Grambling State University was the first halftime show for the Super Bowl. I think that believe Kansas City and Green Bay, was that the one? But I believe Grambling State University was the first halftime show for the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl been around. I guess Jay Z will be 50 this year, but yeah, a little bit older than Jay Z. But what is this all about, and how can we really blame football for police brutality? Well, Colin Kaepernick is interesting because people are like, well, why would you want to play for an organization that you sued? Or why would you want to be a part? Why do you want to be an employee of an organization that you sued and they gave you a settlement in the millions? I'll be good. You know what I'm saying? Colin Kaepernick, I guess because this is how bad we're hurting for heroes. Colin Kaepernick, to me, they do nothing new. You hear a lot of examples of people in professional sports not standing up for the national anthem or saluting the flag, whatever. Jackie Robinson talks about this in his autobiography about not standing up and saluting the flag, right? That he felt like he still was an outsider in his own country. All the stuff he did. This guy fought in the military. He was a court martial for standing up for himself when they tried to kick him out the bus and make him move to the back of the bus. He said he wasn't going. He about to pull his gun out on some MPs, some military police. This is down in Texas. And he beat the court martial. This is like a decade before Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott, right? So Jackie did all that, but yet we got this thing of Jackie. He is, integration, playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers, but Jackie was an advocate, and Jackie was a proud Republican himself. He was really going for Richard Nixon back in 1960. And I read somewhere, or I saw some documentary, he was trying to get Richard Nixon to get Dr. King out of prison so he could get the black vote. And Richard Nixon didn't want to do it. And Richard Nixon at the time was the vice president behind Eisenhower, a very popular president. Eisenhower intervened with the Little Rock Nine thing, Central High School down in Little Rock. But he was still a very popular president, Eisenhower. And Richard Nixon was supposed to be guaranteed to be president in 1960. But he refused to help Dr. King. And I believe they said Jackie Robinson was crying. He said, "You just don't get it, don't you? You just don't get it. Just don't get it." So Kennedy was able to get Dr. King out of prison. They helped him get the black vote. And the rest is history, or is it? But with Jay-Z, like I said, with Michael Jordan, these guys, I don't really think they know their value. But it's not just them. I think black people, I know we don't know as a collective our true value. You know what I'm saying? We don't know our true value. We get all emotional and sentimental about nothingness. We don't get no compensation. Cause I'm thinking about nearest green relatives still working for Jack Daniels, and they're not millionaires. At least multimillionaires, if not billionaires. They should be in the millionaires, but they working for a living. When your ancestor gave this white man his generational wealth, and y'all not sharing in that, that's crazy. So I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but you get the idea, right? There was no monetary thing discussed, but Colin Kaepernick, is not impressed. Does not impress me as a person. He's not on the level of Muhammad Ali. Please stop saying that. Y'all saying, well, he's on the level of Muhammad Ali. Well, he got a nice multi-million-dollar parachute. He got a nice shoe deal with Nike, a multi-million-dollar shoe deal with Nike. He's living well. He don't have to never ever throw a football, play another down. He's living well. He can actually remember that he played football. So he won't be having that CTE stuff going on because he quit while he was still young. Even though he might have played a whole bunch of football, Pop Warner and stuff like that, he still can walk away from the game. There's a lot of people, a lot of greats can't walk at all. I met, football players who played in the first Super Bowl. These guys got no cartilage left in their knees. They're like, when they go downstairs, they basically crawling down the stairs, right? They can't remember they played, or if they do remember that they played, they also repeat themselves in circles and circles, forgetting about, they said that already just 5 minutes before. So that's it. Well, Brother Ron, you like that? No, I'm just, y'all. I just like the repetition is a part of learning. So I repeat myself on certain issues and perspectives because repetition is a part of learning. So, yeah. But with Jay-Z, there was no monetary specifics discussed in the so-called partnership. And Jay-Z said he want to own a team. But the thing about it, there are no black owners in football. A lot of black football players in the NFL, but no black owners. There are two so-called minority owners. There's a Pakistani American who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's the majority owner. Then you have an Asian American. I don't know if she's Korean American, but she's an Asian American that's a majority owner for the Buffalo Bills. But outside of that, there are no black owners in football. Are there any black general managers in football? Hardly any black coaches in football. But yet the majority of the player personnel are black people, right? You got a majority owner in basketball in terms of Michael Jordan with the Charlotte Bobcats, but you can't name any other majority black owners in the top three professional sports leagues in North America. In America, that's the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball. Now you got a black general manager, Kid Williams, who won the World Series with the White Sox, right? His son used to be a football player for the 49ers around the time of Kaepernick, I believe. But why are the black general managers and owners in baseball? Are there any black managers right now in baseball? I remember when Cito Gaston won it for the Toronto Blue Jays, that they won back-to-back championships. And you had Dusty Baker, who took Barry Bonds and company. I wish they won that World Series, because Barry Bonds deserved that World Series, because he played his tail out in that World Series. It is what it is. And they shortened Barry Bonds' career on some BS, but that's another story. So I'm saying, where's the powerful black people in professional sports? But Jay-Z, he was implying that he's looking forward to owning a team. And Jay-Z, he moved a certain way. I don't understand all his moves. I'm a fan of his music, but when it comes to his business acumen, I'm not really a fan of. But it is what it is. But like I said, Colin Kaepernick wasn't the first to protest the national anthem. Jackie Robinson did that. He talked about that in his autobiography. You see the exact quote online. They got the quote out there. He talking about why he wouldn't stand for the national anthem. And that was decades before Kaepernick was even born, right? So you also got Mark Abdul Rauf from the 90s. They forget about him. I don't think he stood for the national anthem. Then I think the brother, was that Josh Howard that played for the Mavericks? That like over 10 years ago, he wouldn't stand. He didn't stand for the national anthem. He didn't salute the flag or nothing. And that's, a big ado was made about that. See what I'm saying is we live in this social media age. We don't really take the time to look at history for history's sake, to understand that history is not a linear thing. It's a lot of facets and moving parts, and it's always in draft mode. Like how you have draft mode on your text messages or your email. It's always constantly being rewritten, put out a different way. So, yeah, but Kaepernick and Eric Reed and Jay-Z fighting over this stuff. They all want to be on Master's plantation. They all fighting for the big piece of chicken and the best cornbread. They fighting over cornbread and pieces of chicken and pig. That's how they treat us. We're not getting the best. We're fighting over the scraps. And like I said, even this is white folks' entertainment. TMZ is making a killing off of black folks' dysfunctionality. TMZ is making a killing off of black folks' dysfunctionality. And I saw Jermaine Dupri interview with Tigger, and I applaud him for coming out and saying his perspective, and people still not happy with it. I don't really care what went down. I just think it's weird that how is it that the fraternal order police are not being responsible for police brutality? How is it that the NFL is at fault for police brutality? It's kind of strange how they changed this narrative around. Why is the fraternal order of police not on the hook for allowing people to prosper by violating black folks' human and civil rights? Look what happened with the Eric Gardner thing. This guy, Daniel Pentiolano, whatever his name, he's Italian American. He choked out Eric Gardner for Lucy cigarettes in Staten Island. The biggest criminals in Staten Island, the biggest criminals in Staten Island own the biggest homes in Staten Island. They mob bosses and mafia people. Y'all remember like several months ago when that so-called love-struck guy killed the top wise guy of the Gambino crime family, the alleged top dog of the Gambino crime family. He killed them in Staten Island on his property. He owned a mansion on Staten Island. Look all this up. Take a look. It's all online. So, also, looking at history, if Jay-Z is going to be socially conscious because he have done things over the years, people forget, like with Bill Cosby, people forget that Bill Cosby was the first black major entertainer to protest Cincinnati back in the late 1990s and early 2000s. He boycotted going to Cincinnati because all the black folks that were being killed or being brutalized by the police. So he boycotted Cincinnati himself. And I believe some other people follow his lead, but all y'all could talk about is the 2004 pound cake speech, which was made at a private event, the NAACP, I guess 50th anniversary of Brown v. Board, and was leaked to the media. He was talking to among his people, but he did a lot of things to help black people out, black institutions. Look how we treat Bill Cosby. But we don't tell the whole truth about these people. We don't tell. He had our own a club back in the day with Red Fox. And Red Fox say, look, Red Fox was friends with Malcolm X. They came up together in New York. Malcolm, I believe, was Detroit Red, and I believe that Red Fox was either Chicago or St. Louis Red, but they were both dishwashers at Jimmy's, both dishwashers at Jimmy's Chicken Shack up in Harlem. At one point, Charlie Parker used to wash dishes at Jimmy's Chicken Shack up in Harlem, listening to the great Art Tatum on piano. That inspired, they called Charlie Parker Yardbird, one of the greatest musicians, who ever lived, had a thing for chicken. So I guess for him not to be going starving as an artist in New York, he washed dishes and ate as much chicken as he wanted at Jimmy's Chicken Shack, listening to the great Art Tatum on piano. But Red Fox and Malcolm X both washed dishes at Jimmy's Chicken Shack up in Harlem. So, but yet Red Fox ended up owning a club with Bill Cosby. But he said, Cosby got to tone it down because Bill Cosby had all this Black Panther stuff, all this militant stuff on the wall. And Red Fox said, this is bad for business, man. You got to tone all that Black Power stuff down. We try to make money here. So we don't really give our elders the benefit of the doubt because we don't know their history. We think we know their history. We got to do their research. But I said, that was like 20 years ago. Bill Cosby was protesting police brutality by economic protest. That's old school protesting, right? So we forget about that. But Jay-Z, gave money to victims of police brutality. He did a lot of things in the community. I don't know the man's heart, but I know that people don't understand that there's a difference between being a humanitarian and a philanthropist. Humanitarian is a person who shares their talents and time to humanity. Anybody can be humanitarian. You don't have to have a lot of money in the bank. You don't have to have even no type of name recognition. You don't have to be famous to serve. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be rich to serve. You just got to be able the willingness to give, to be selfless. You can be humanitarian and be broke. A philanthropist is a person who basically buys goodwill. They could hate people, but they could give so much money to causes that people don't mind. Oh, we'll overlook the fact that you hate people, that you don't like us. Long you sign checks that don't bounce, we good. We good, boss. We good, right? You could be a philanthropist and hate people. You could be a misanthrope and be a very prolific philanthropist. You could do a lot of evil in the world, but you try to buy goodwill to cover up your evilness. So, like when people talk about, Jay-Z being a former drug dealer or rapping about drugs and all that stuff about gangsterism, I told y'all American history is a gangster rap album. You gotta think about the fact that President Franklin Roosevelt, some people think he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest president of all time. He saw us through Great Depression, Federal Works Progress Program, World War II. He didn't live out, he ended up dying before the war was ended. But his grandfather, Warren Delano Jr., his maternal grandfather, made the family fortune by selling opium to the Chinese. He was part of the Opium Wars. So his grandfather, Warren Delano Jr., was one of the biggest drug dealers in American history. He was like some El Chapo. He was the white El Chapo. Okay, but he was selling opium to the Chinese. This is Franklin Roosevelt's grandfather. Okay, and they said that Franklin Roosevelt used to use cocaine for his quote unquote sinus problems. He had sinus problems, so he used cocaine to clear his head, I guess. So this is not me saying this. This is out there circulating. Then don't get me started about Joe Kennedy, who was a drug dealer in his own right, was a bootlegger, working with the mob, even worked with the mob to get his son elected president of the United States. And they ended up backfiring. You could almost say that Joe Kennedy was the reason why his sons were killed. Okay, he made that deal. And people don't understand what Joe Kennedy Sr., what happened to him was he got, I don't know if it was a stroke or a heart attack or aneurysm, something happened to him when JFK became president where he was incapacitated. He was a prisoner of his own body. He could not communicate the way he could back in the past. So he was not able to control his sons and say, "Hey, look, son, look, Bobby, you can't go out there so-and-so because he helped your brother get elected. That's bad for business." He couldn't do that. He couldn't hold his sons back and put them in their place. So when he became incapacitated and became a prisoner of his own body, that basically signed the death warrants for JFK and RFK. Y'all can look all this up. You know, I'm not talking out my ass. All this stuff, it could be verified easily. Just do your own research. But Jay-Z just doing what they did. Like Lucky Luciano said, behind every great wealth, there's a great crime. Behind every great wealth, there's a great crime. He just followed their lead. You know, they said John D. Rockefeller was related to Jesse James. I believe some people think that Frank James was John D. Rockefeller or something like that. It is crazy. But they were cousins. They're like Hillary and Donald Trump, they cousins, right? Donald Trump went to Chelsea's wedding. He was a VIP guest. But what I'm saying is, look all this stuff up. I'm not making all this up. It's out there. So Jay-Z just living this American dream, American gangster style. He's basically what he's doing. He's doing what the white folks have always been allowed to do. He's legitimizing his wealth. He's legitimizing the wealth. You got to think about it. Jay-Z was schooled by who? Warren Buffett. That's one of his good multi-billionaire friends. The Wizard of Omaha. You know, I do know that Malcolm X was born in Omaha, Nebraska. A lot of fascinating people from Nebraska, black and white. Johnny Carson from Nebraska. Bob Gibson, the great baseball player, pitcher from Nebraska. A lot of people got Nebraskan roots that made a difference in this country. But he's just following the blueprint that the great white fathers have laid out for him to follow. They've been working for them for the last 400 years. He just want to be a part of that group. He's a part of that group now. Whether he's a billionaire or not, it's like the same thing with Trump. It don't make a difference. It's the illusion. It's the perception. You know what I'm saying? It's the manipulation. You know, we're not thinking logical right now. We're getting our emotions played and manipulated, and we are willfully ignorant to that fact. So, now, I mean, I don't take none of this serious. Like what Bobby Dick Gregory would say, it's a game. It's a game. It's a game. Follow the money trail. You know, who represents Kaepernick? You know, who is he really? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do he want to still play in the NFL? He already got his money. He got the bag. He secured the bag. He's already a legend. And it's hard for me to say he's a martyr, really, be honest with you, because what did he really lose? He lost his starting position. We didn't hear about all this until he lost his starting position. So what was the real motivation of him kneeling? And what the hell is a kneel? Tim Tebow, I thought it was Tebowing. Like Tim Tebow used to kneel. What did that mean, man? It's weird. I think the only really good thing that came out of this was that we now realize that the original version of the national anthem included a verse that was very detrimental to black people. That's one of the best things that came out of this thing. But nobody, not even Eric Gardner, the guy who killed Eric Gardner, they waited for 5 years, let the statute of limitations run out, and then they fired him without pension, allegedly. But I believe he's still being supported some type of way. That's an affront. That's an insult to black people and to our humanity that this guy was allowed to get away with murder on camera, and the guy who was the cameraman still, from my understanding, suffering in jail. He's still in jail. So we got our priorities backwards, people. What about Jamil Al-Amin? How many of y'all know about Jamil Al-Amin? That's H. Rap Brown. Look him up. This man is rotting away in jail because he loved his people. He loved black people. He served black people. Was a Panther, became a Muslim in Atlanta, was cleaning up the neighborhood. They control. It became not just a neighborhood, but a community. And then all of a sudden he's framed or he's arrested under questionable circumstances. Like the guy who allegedly killed the sheriff deputy He actually confessed. I believe he's in Florida. Just look all this stuff up about that case. That case is strange. What about Mumia Abu Jamal up in Philadelphia? I'm talking about Meek Mill. What about Mumia Abu Jamal? What about him? I'm just dropping names out there, right? I'm about to do a part two. It's getting too long, but I might chop it up a little bit. But if you got the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Please feel free to donate. Cash App R2C2H2. Also, you can buy Art of His art and gear. You can go to R2C2H2.com for Art of His art. Buy the gear. Check out the video below the not video, but the shelf below that showcases some of the shirts and sweaties and hoodies that I put out there. I'm a very prolific artist. I got all type of different ways to express myself. Artistic or artastic expression is very therapeutic for me, and I'm love to communicate with y'all as well through the podcast. So support. You can buy some art and also wear it. And you could cash app your support. $ R2C2H2. Tell a friend, spread the word. If you like the words from Brother Hurd, get that subscriber up, the subscribership up. I want to get 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And thank you all once again for being patient, for being loving, for being kind, for being generous, just for being there. Because y'all don't know. Nobody knows the trouble I sing. Nobody knows my sorrow. But in the words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. And I'm out of here.
Thank you.